Capone is written and directed by Josh Trank and stars Tom Hardy and also quite a big cast. You got Linda Cardellini, Matt Dillon, Kyle MacLachlan, and for those of you who have seen The Sopranos, guy who plays Mickey Primus from the first season of Sopranos, Al Pienza, he's in this too. And in this story, it deals with pretty much the aftermath of Al Capone in his later, almost to the last days of his life, after he gets released from an 11-year sentence in the United States Penitentiary, and he starts to suffer from neurosyphilis and dementia while basically living the retirement life with his family. And among the film, pretty much throughout the film, he starts to see like hallucinations and stuff. And basically, his state of mind is not where it is. And he basically starts to have supposedly have regrets of his life. And there's also a plot involving, well, there's a minor subplot involving where he stored this money that was stored away. Um, here's some backstory. Now, this film was directed by Josh Trank, who, given his career as a director, it seemed like he had a lot of promise in his as a filmmaker. Back in 2012, he gave us one of my favorite films of the year, which was Chronicle. And for a found footage movie and everything, it was actually something unique and different. And it was basically taking a superhero type movie and turning into a found footage movie. And it showed that this director had a lot of promise in Hollywood, and he was trying to basically get his career going after that film. And then essentially he started getting on track with other projects that are lined up, and his biggest one that had potential was supposed to be with Fantastic Four in 2015, which, as we've seen with, I haven't seen all the film, but from what I've seen and from what all I've heard about it, it basically put a nail in the coffin for his career. It was a critical and commercial failure to the point where basically with him working with big budget, bigger studios showed that he's probably better off doing as more like smaller indie type movies that he started out with Chronicle with. And so, yeah.
Yeah, Chronicle was definitely one of my favorite. Obviously, this out of the three films he's done, Chronicle was all like one of my favorite films of 2012, and it's one of my favorite found footage films. Also, and I gotta say that after when I saw that film, I was like, all right, this director has got a hell of a future, you know. And like you said, I haven't seen Fantastic Four remake, but I did hear that's like the last Airbender bad, like horrible. So I can't say much about this. So going into hearing about this movie being made, I think this has been a project that was being made for quite a while, hadn't it?
It was. It's actually been a project that it was announced. It was the year after Fantastic Four came out that he wanted to pursue a film that was under a different title called under the title Fonzo, and it was
Well,
actually
a comical thing that actually I remember happening. There was at one point that before they did the working title under Fonzo, there that it was secretly announced that we were getting a Scarface remake with Tom Hardy. A lot of people were like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" And so on and so forth. The funny thing is, Al Capone, his nickname, he had dozens of them. One of them being called Scarface. That's why it was Scarface. Now it's funny because we are literally getting a Scarface remake now that just got announced this year. But I'm just saying, back when this movie was being talked about, people were mistaken as Al Pacino's classic. So, you know, it was pretty weird. But
well,
it's weird though because when I saw the trailers to this film, I will say that it looked pretty promising. Tom Hardy's like a fantastic actor. I mean, it's kind of really hard to ever say that he's ever done anything bad. I mean, you might question some of his other roles, like the movie overall, but you just know the guy's going to give a great performance. And so, I was looking forward to it. And, it was labeled under a biography of Al Capone. Usually that means, okay, we're getting a whole life story building up, the traditional shit we see with biography films. Boy, were we wrong with this one. Before I watched this, I started seeing reviews of this film, and I was actually kind of surprised at how trash this film was getting. Now I remember when Gotti came out with John Travolta. I remember that one. I've heard was really, really, really fucking bad. But at the same time, that movie was marketed as a low budget, just like a straight to video. However, this film felt like it was going to be like a big time theater movie. And
Yeah.
give or take, I don't think it was ever going to make theaters. I don't know, because we got the trailers and then the release date like that fast. I mean, it
Yeah.
was no time. This got shoved on us. So I will say,
But
upon seeing this film, this was a huge disappointment for me. And it's weird because I think this is going to be the first time I ever seen an actor work so hard with the look and with the makeup and the acting so good that he thought he was given pretty much an Oscar-winning type of performance. Yet a movie, the writing and the script and the direction overall was just so fucking terrible.
yeah, I'm on the same level. Like,
I when I heard the plot that they were going to go with was pretty much the end life, the retirement, the last year of the life of somebody, and you mark it as a biography film, there's a little issue right there. And I'll
yeah,
be frank, who wants to see the in life of somebody iconic? Because Al Capone is like one of the most famous gangsters of all time, especially in America. He's like the number one. Gotti being number two probably, but everybody knows Al Capone throughout the world. And you gave us a retirement version of his dementia form as the whole movie. I have the problem with, but it could work. But I have like a theory, a kind of direction I wish it would have went. But man, I did not care for this film at all.
yeah, I was on that same level, man. Like, I didn't even, I mean, granted, I didn't see the trailer of it, but I heard the news coming out about the film, and it got me really interested because, based on what I've seen with Tom Hardy and a lot of other movies, it shows that even with movies that aren't so good, like Venom, for example, he can still pull a great performance and still make a movie work.
It is. Rather, I know there's a lot of people who don't like Dark Knight Rises, even though I love the film. But you could always say Tom Hardy's good in everything.
Yeah, and I admit that he actually is perfectly cast at, like, from the get-go. Always thought he was perfectly cast to play Al Capone because it seemed like he could really capture the type of level that Al Capone was going through probably in his later years and stuff. So I think what the issue is the fact that you have pretty much the concept that they're going for. I think could only work if you either have a better writer or a better director attached to that news that takes a more swift level to it. Because the film, basically in a nutshell, it's like if you took the last 20 minutes of The Irishman, turn that into basically a cross with the fucking Sharon of the Haunting of Sharon Tate from last year, but on a more like bigger budget level, so to speak. Now, I haven't seen Haunting of Sharon Tate, but I can only imagine this is way better than that movie.
I mean, I hate to compare because the movies like Haunting Sharon Tate went so balls to the wall, straight to video looking that it just interrupted. But what we mean by that, we're not trying to put it on that level. We're just trying to say there's some really bizarre shit that happens in this film that I felt like doesn't go with the movie at all. Like, there's a lot of shit that happens. It's so I can't explain it. Like, it's like the director, the writer was fucking lost. Like they wanted us to see what dementia is like, mental illness and the deterioration of his brain. But I felt like they took it a little too far and a lot of shit in this movie. And what I mean by there's some particular scenes that does go like what Haunting of Sharon Tate did with the whole like ghost thing, ripping eyeball, just fucking turning into a horror
Yeah.
film. It was turned into kind of a spoof with him shitting himself. I'll get into my cons in a second. We'll go in more detail. But yeah, when he was cast, I never doubted he would do great as Al Capone. I knew he would. I can never doubt Tom Hardy in anything. So I knew he was going to be perfect, for this role. And I just wish they would. Man, this was a wasted opportunity. We're talking about a fucking great performance, and we didn't, to a director and writer who didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And it's
Yeah,
sad to see.
yeah.
It's fucking. Oh, why?
I know it was basically we'll get into more of that here when we get to our cons. But yeah, going into my pros, I will say, Tom Hardy for his performance alone, I think it's what carries this film for me the best. Now, I understand that the way it comes across, it can be divided from a lot of people on how they were going with the type of performance he's going with, because in a way, he's pretty much pulling a performance that's like, well, kind of a caricature of Al Capone in some way, because the way he's kind of like talking in that kind of voice of his. But then again, I think that was intentional, because I think what they were trying to go with was the type of mental state that he's in on that kind of level. And I think it really works with his performance in this.
A lot of people did the way that he talks in this film is from what in history is said. That's how Al Capone talked. You remember it was kind of hinted a little bit with and this is he wasn't Al Capone, but it pays homage to Al Capone. You remember how like in Godfather, he had that one gangster dude, the main dude, had like
Marlon
that
Brando?
weird. Yeah, it seems like these gangsters had that certain vibe to them, and Al
Well,
Capone literally had that kind of vibe.
yeah, I mean, it's not, and it can be, I understand it can be kind of like polarizing, because the way that it comes across, it can be kind of unintentionally hilarious. The way that he's basically talking in this type of voice, and some of it can be kind of jumbled, or like the way he speaks. Because I think the problem is that too is that when it comes to accents, Tom Hardy seems to he has to find the right type of voice to play it under. Because if you notice in a lot of his films, he tends to kind of slip out his British accent a lot in movies. And here, while it isn't often, it does seem like it was just more of him trying to actually speak like Al Capone, because his voice was kind of marbled in some scenes.
Yeah, yeah. And like you were saying, one of my biggest pros is Tom Hardy. The guy carries his film. I mean, to say he just carries his film is an understatement. I mean, we're talking about pick a big ass fucking house boulder and carrying it on your back. I mean, he literally, you put a mediocre actor into this role, man, this would have been fucking horrible. Because any scene Tom Hardy's in, for some reason I know the movie's terrible on everything else, but his mannerisms with as Al Capone just is so just keeps me looking at least in the screen. It's watchable as hell because of that. And like we were talking about earlier, the we'll get they could have done a lot more with this character, because I have this theory that if they would have maybe went to a better director, like I hate saying Scorsese. People are probably tired of hearing that name in gangster films and all that. I'm talking about as a director and a writer of that talent that knows this kind of genre. They could have made a true foreign biography film. Tom Hardy still should be cast as Al Capone. When I was seeing, I was, man, his makeup looked awesome. That was another pro. The way he looked in Scar, man, he had the mannerisms down and everything. The whole gangster shit, and Al Capone himself. If you would have gave us like where you could keep the whole dementia stuff going on, you have that part, and it could be like a 2.5 hour movie. It has to be, and he could be haunted by things, which would bring in the like in between plot points, watching him go from young to rise and to fall. And throughout the scenes, you can have more of the modern parts with him where he's still
Mhm.
suffering from his dementia, the syphilis shit he had, the neurosyphilis and dementia, and then go back to the stories. You've seen talented writers do this, like Quentin Tarantino shit and all that, where they can literally intertwine them and then come tenfold at the end. This should have been a big box office movie. I'm sorry, it should have been. This movie should have been way fucking better. The fact that it's marketed as a biography film, only to watch him shit on himself and rest of the other shit, that pissed me off. That was not a biography film. at times I felt like they over exaggerated and mocked a lot of shit. But anyways, we're in the pros, so yeah, that I will say that um there were some pretty gory parts, despite some of it really not should have not been in there, because some of the shit that does happen that's gory as fuck is just it's in scenes that don't make no fucking sense. But I guess the gore's cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's basically like besides Tom Hardy's performance, which was very good, because he really brings a lot of his A game to how he can really get into the mannerisms of Al Capone and everything. It's all really great, and while yes, it can be unintentionally hilarious at times the way he speaks and everything, but the moments where he's actually getting to being like Al Capone and stuff, like there's one scene where he has a Tommy gun, let's just say that to me, I think would really be great if you had a more excellent, coherent story around it. Now, I
Yep.
will other say that with my other pros, the rest of the cast were fine. I think besides him, the only other cast member I think really like tried her best at this was Linda Cardinelli. And once again, this is a film that I'm really sad to see her in because last year she was in The Curse of La Lorna, and it just seems that she brings what she can to performances, but she always gets into the wrong kind of movies that she's in. You know.
Wrong roles, but I can you blame her? She probably saw the script and thought she was legitimately getting ready to be in a box office major gangster film called Capone. Who would have known if the fucking dumbass director and writer thought it was smart to just say, let's just watch a man just rot and see shit that ain't there, like monsters and all that crap. So it ain't really her fault. But yeah, everybody brought, like, everybody was there. My only issue with is not the people that they're acting themselves, because their acting was good. It was the use of them.
Yeah, they're underdeveloped. Like, there's really no merit to their characters really that
Yeah,
much.
nobody is fucking there's so many people fucking in this film. Then there's this backstory with possibly Al Capone had another kid with another woman. I mean, he was a serial cheater, and that's how he caught syphilis. And he didn't, treat it, and went up to his brain, caused neural syphilis. But it's just he had all these backstories that were just thrown in there. Then you had like this one fucking police after his money, and then you had other people there was introducing and saying like, oh yeah, these guys work for the Cubans, they're probably gonna take your money and all this shit. Just so much going on, jumble fucking mess. I'm like,
Yeah.
where the
And
fuck are, and like that's starting with our cons, because really I don't know anything else on my pros. I mean, there
other
really
than
wasn't much.
other than the the score, the music it's fine. It's nothing special, but I mean it's there. But
Well,
now we get into our cons.
it depends on what you're talking about, because
Score.
it depends on the score itself, what you're talking about, because towards that end, especially the credit scene, I felt like the score was too modern for that time period on some of the shit with the neo noir techno. I'm like,
Oh, I
yeah,
forgot about that.
yeah. I'm like, oh my god, this is supposed to be in the 40s. Come on, this is
Yeah.
right after Hitler died. I don't think they were bumping fucking dubstep back in the day.
Well, it also is shot well. I mean, not shot well, but the cinematography, you could tell this was going to go for a theatrical look because it was going to come in theaters, but it got released on demand because of the coronavirus. So
Probably rightfully so, because the direction just feels like a straight to video.
it does.
Unlike cinematography, like you said, is really good in this film. I did praise the makeup. I thought they did hell of a job on the fucking makeup job. But yeah, going back to what I was saying about the cons, I bitched about the use of the cast. Another thing, you probably already heard us rant it throughout we're about as we are in this review is how messy this fucking movie is. So stay patient with us a little bit on this, because it is a messy movie. The writing, you've already heard we said, is fucking atrocious.
Mhm.
What is so interesting about a guy fucking shitting himself? Um, Seeing this Matt Dillon's character, and then seeing like some gruesome images that would remind me out of like a fucking paranormal film, and some really out of place fucking scenes where he's really going out there seeing tidal waves and shit. That's where I was like, this is really going out there. I can't even buy this, even in a dementia state. I can't buy this. This is fucking nuts.
Yeah, this whole this whole like and that gets in my cons too, like how the movie tries to give us the type of mental state that he's in. He's starting to see stuff, which on paper I can see what you're going for. I can see if it was going for a more approach where he's losing his mind and he's starting to notice other things. There are elements, ideas that they do put in the film that could have worked, but unfortunately it's very lackluster because it's so thinly plotted. For example, the whole regrets that he comes across with about people that he killed. That could work if it was done a lot better to give us actually merit with characters that are important to the story.
The whole like Scrooge-like kind of setting where pretty much Matt Dillon is playing a character from the past, so to speak. I like that concept. And maybe if, like I said, if you would have had like Scorsese type of writing, this could have brought him throughout his journey through him seeing all the horrible shit he did and the regrets, and it would have came back tenfold at the end. That would have been a phenomenal fucking goddamn script right there. Unfortunately, they don't do that, and that plot is fucking ignored in like the middle of the movie, and it doesn't even go that direction anymore. After he sees that little ghost and shit with the eyeballs and all that, I'm like, what the fuck is this doing? Then they abandon another plot with the doctor working for the police department.
Yeah, there are characters that come and go in this film that they're in a way, and I'm not trying to compare this because it's on a different level. It's basically what The Room did. The Room had that problem where basically every character that came in, there were characters that came in and there were plot points that came up that were completely abandoned. And that was how incompetent the actual structure of the film and how bad the writing is in this on that kind of level. Different type of direction because it's different type of movie. But I'm just saying you can see the problem, the comparisons that would be made with that movie too.
Yeah. And yeah, like going throughout the story, when you start seeing the rinse and repeat of the same shit, I felt like they oversaturated with the dementia part. We get it. The guy's mentally fucked in the head. He's losing his brain, function. We get it. How many scenes do I got to see this guy crap himself? How many scenes do I need to see him see shit that ain't there? Now you got me seeing real shit, and I don't know. You didn't explain to me if that's real or not. Because why? Because you just rush the ending. Just boom, it's over.
Yeah, and what doesn't make sense with the whole like psychological thing they're doing is there's instances where characters that are supposed to be like made up don't actually exist. They're in other scenes that are not with Al Capone. And it's like, wait, what? How does that make sense? Because he's not actually in the same scene with that person. So why is this person made up in another scene? So it makes sense if it's in his perspective.
Folks, this was what not to fucking do on a script of something of this magnitude.
Yeah.
It just randomly ends. It just randomly fucking ends. And I just asked myself at the end, what was the fucking performance was like A- from Tom Hardy, which is fucking phenomenal. And then I'm like, but the script is like so DF. I'm like, how did it manage to fuck up that bad? And I left myself thinking after the credits rolled, I was like, what was even the whole point in this whole entire thing?
Yeah, and the whole thing with the money didn't make sense either because we never get that plot point resolved either. So it's like, what the fuck was the point of this whole entire subplot involving the money that he stored? So
every plot point, which is like 3 or 4 going on, is ignored. Like it's just like introduce shit and then don't complete anything, and then we get to like because you even have
one thing that they kind of resolved, which is basically the stuff involving with him and his supposed his estranged son. But even that's really the only thing they get resolved really in the whole fucking movie. that's actually cohesive, because that brings
Yeah.
up.
Her wife ever found out, oh, you had a son, so you cheated on me? I don't even think we got to that part.
Nope.
Like everything like was forgotten. I felt like they probably ran out of money, and the director and the writer was like, "Man, we failed. Well, we got to get it out. Studio says so."
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
why you hire talented people.
Yeah.
That's why we have
I
leaguers,
feel.
and then we have little leaguers, and as directors and writers. Come on now.
Yeah, and I'm
But
disappointed because the guy seemed like Josh Trank seems like he seems like he could potentially come back in the spotlight with a good movie again, like Chronicle. But for now, he's basically doing, and I'm not trying to make comparisons because I've only seen like a couple of, I've only seen bits and pieces of some of his movies. Hopefully, his career isn't going to end up like, you remember how the Michael Cimino, the director that did The Deer Hunter, made us a phenomenal movie with The Deer Hunter, and then he started doing other films that kept going down and down, and he never recovered for. His career as a director pretty much went down, and he never got the same legacy that The Deer Hunter had. I hope that's not the case with this director, because I hope someday he can bring us another good movie that shows him as a talented director.
all right. So with that being said, I will say that due to the tolerable watch this film had because of Tom Hardy, amazing performance, it it voided the lowest grade we can rank. So I feel comfortable saying disaster grade and film freaks meter. If I had to grade separately, said earlier, A minus performance, fucking F with the whole script and writing in another direction. But I feel like as an overall disaster grade is about the right grade.
Yeah, that was going to say that's I agree with you on that. It's definitely it's a disaster rate for me too on the film Bruce meter. So for those of you who have also seen Capone, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Stay safe, and we'll see you in our next review. We'll see you later.
But